I'm excited to chat with some distinguished Holy Cross alumni today about their careers in staffing. I am Hannah Williamson. I actually am the senior corporate recruiter on our campus recruiting team here at Beacon Hill Staffing Group. And to give you a little bit of background, Beacon Hill is actually a national staffing agency. We're located in 58 locations across the country with 7 different divisions. Specialty focuses on administrative, technologies, financial, human resources, legal, pharmaceuticals, etc. So staffing is actually, to really put it in plain terms, the business of matching jobs to people and people to jobs. Panelists, please introduce yourself. Let's start with Kate.
Hi guys, my name is Kate Kerrigan. I work in our Boston office on our direct hire permanent finance and accounting team. I've been there for 2 years. My title there is a consultant. I graduated from Holy Cross, crazy to believe, but 4 years ago. So I wasn't in your shoes too long ago, but have a decent amount of experience that I'm excited to chat with you guys about. At Holy Cross, I was part of HEAL. I'm not sure if that's still around, Healthy Eating and Lifestyle, the marketing agency. I did admissions, I was a greeter there, and then I also worked at Phonathon a few nights a week. So that's my spiel, and looking forward to chatting with you guys. Thanks.
Hi guys, I'm Molly. I'm an account executive with our tech temp team here in Boston. I sit in the Boston office at 20 Ashford, and I've been with Beacon Hill since July 2019, so just over a year now. Like Kate said, I was in your shoes not too long ago as well. When I was on campus, I was an English major. I graduated pre-business. I did the Full Bridge program. I played 4 years of lacrosse, and I worked as a note taker on campus. So I'm excited to share a little bit more about my experience here at Beacon Hill.
First and foremost, I think staffing is not something that either of you went to school for or even maybe knew about in the job search. It's a bit unique of an industry. So what specifically actually attracted you to staffing, and how would you say it actually relates from your undergraduate experiences, all of what you've mentioned for your campus involvements, now into starting your career at Beacon Hill?
Yeah, so I would say what attracted me about staffing was just the understanding of being able to get the exposure to a lot of different jobs in the industry. So I mentioned I work on the finance and accounting team. I'm able to work with different people every day, work with different companies. So really getting a broad stroke of what's out there. Graduating from Holy Cross, liberal arts degree, I was an econ and Spanish major. I forgot to mention that, but kind of an interesting combination. So didn't really know what to do with that and wasn't sure which path I wanted to take. So when staffing was an option for me, I figured what a great opportunity to get into the real world, get some exposure under my belt. And also I'm getting to talk to all these different people and learn about all these different jobs that I had no idea existed.
Kind of similar. I had no idea what I wanted to do after graduation, and I was actually at the Holy Cross Career Fair when I was a senior, and I stumbled across Hannah at the Beacon Hill staffing booth, and she was kind of telling me more. Yeah, she was telling me more about what staffing is. I genuinely had no idea, and I was like, I really like the sound of that. And she kind of explained, which I'm sure she'll do a little bit later on, the 2 entry-level positions to me, and I was like, I like the sound of both of these. And she was like, well, you can actually try both. You can do our fast track program. And I was like, this is awesome. So I thought it was really similar to my whole education experience at Holy Cross. I was an English major, which isn't necessarily the most clear path of where you want to go after Holy Cross, but I just loved kind of being put in an uncomfortable situation and learning how to operate in the moment, stuff like that. And I also just love interacting with people. I feel like that's just a very Holy Cross mindset, walking around campus or reaching out to alumni to network. I think it's very similar in the staffing world, and Beacon Hill is very similar to Holy Cross in general.
We would love to hear a little bit more just about your specific roles, since you guys actually have 2 separate divisions that you work within, but also even just day to day a little bit different. So Kate, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your specific role at Beacon Hill to help the attendees actually understand a little bit better about our jobs, kind of even walk us through maybe a recent placement or a recent success that you've actually seen specific to the finance team. And then Molly, you can tell us a little bit more something on the tech team.
Absolutely. So for my role, as I mentioned, I'm on our permanent finance and accounting team. And what that entails is I run a full desk. So to break that down a bit further, a full desk, I'm working with candidates every day. So candidates meaning people that are either A, looking for jobs, or B, not looking for jobs, but are right for the jobs that we have. And then also working on the client side of the house. So reaching out to different companies, doing that business development aspect of the role, seeing what companies are hiring. Specifically in terms of the roles that I recruit for, probably most would be finance roles. So like a financial analyst, a finance associate, a senior financial analyst, finance manager, all the way up the chain there, eventually getting to our CFO and higher level positions. And then on the accounting side as well. So, staff accountant, senior accountant, things along those lines. I guess in terms of success or, where I've found recent success over the past couple of months. Obviously, it's been a bit different, being in a remote environment and recruiting remotely. I've been lucky to get in contact with a lot of public accountants. So that for us, that's kind of our bread and butter, right? So Big Four public accountant, Big Four, I'm sure my finance and accounting majors at Holy Cross have heard of these companies, but an EY, a PwC, KPMG, and Deloitte, those people are like the cream of the crop. So finding those people basically is a good way to get our clients and companies that we're working with what they're looking for. So I've been really heavily recruiting from the public accounting side of the house and been very successful there over the past couple of months. And I've made a few really great placements recently. And so how it works as well, just with the permanent hire and in terms of compensation and, what we're looking for, not to get too deep into that, but the higher level person we place, the higher, more money that they're making, obviously a better commission and chunk of change on our end at the end of the day. So that's also motivating and something that we strive for to, find these harder to place people and reaching out to them, getting more information about what they're looking for. And as Hannah said, being that matchmaker between the company and candidate.
So my role kind of differs from Kate's role in the sense that while she is like candidate and client facing, I am only client facing. So my job title is account executive. I started on the staffing consultant side, but I'm on the temp team. So I do contract staffing rather than full-time hires. So we don't really run a full desk on our end of things. And then what I specifically work on in the tech team is like digital marketing and creative roles, which is like anything digital marketing, design, web development, anything like that is kind of where I focus. Huge focus is like digital marketing and internal and external communications. A lot of clients kind of across any industry are kind of looking to bring people in to communicate their return to office or how they're handling COVID or how work from home is going or anything like that. So we've placed a couple of those people and clients ranging from like healthcare to consulting firms to PR firms. We've been working with a lot of the hospitals in the Boston area, which has been awesome.
I think a big question out there that I'm sure a lot of our new hires and ultimately people who are actively interviewing right now is they want to know about training, especially for people who maybe don't necessarily know that they want to go into staffing. What is the reassurance that you guys have felt specifically to Molly about training? So since you're the most recent, I would say that's gone through our training process. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think overall the training process, whether you're going to be temp, perm, staffing consultant, account executive, run a full desk, anything is really awesome because I know for myself, I was so nervous to start working. I was like, what if I'm horrible at this? I have no idea what I'm doing. But they really train you and kind of ease you into everything, no matter what role you're in, which is awesome. But for me, when I started at Beacon Hill, like I mentioned at the career fair, I kind of talked to Hannah about this fast track program where you start as a staffing consultant and you kind of get eased into a sales role, account executive role. And I loved that. So when I started on my first day, there were 3 of us in total that were in the fast track program. On our first day, we started getting trained for recruiting to be a staffing consultant and kind of got eased into that, which was awesome, got comfortable there, and then started like hitting the phones and actually doing the day-to-day of a staffing consultant. And once we kind of got that under our belt, we slowly got eased into training for the sales side while we were still doing recruiting, which was great. Then we actually got to shadow account executives on our team on their client visits, which for me was probably like the most beneficial part of the whole training. It's awesome to kind of like see the real world aspect of it. You can role play things a million times, but then when you're like in an office in front of a client, it's totally different. It was awesome to just see like how often people can get out of the office and how people's clients were asking them to get lunch or coffee. So we did that for a few weeks, and then we were kind of like put in like test mode. We had to actually cold call clients ourselves, try to book our own client visits, and that was definitely pretty rewarding as well, because I feel like cold calling and booking new clients is probably like the hardest part of the whole sales role. So once I kind of passed that training aspect and was eventually put into the account executive role, I felt like I'd already been trained in every aspect of the job. I'd done the hardest parts. And I kind of had people holding my hand and like slowly taking the training wheels off each step of the way, which really helped and made me feel super comfortable going into the new job.
Absolutely. And I think you've touched upon a really great point, and ultimately just much of that shadowing. So much of being in the role of a recruiter or an account executive is learning from the best of the best. And I will use this time to definitely toot Molly's horn. I mean, she absolutely crushed the training process. There are a lot of goals, a lot of metrics that go into that fast track program. But to be going through it in 6-7 months and to make the full outcome is really awesome. So definitely know it's feasible. It's living success right here. So it's really great to hear that was a very positive experience. I want to bring it back to the panelists and talk about career growth. I think that's really important to address. So Kate, why don't we start off? Tell me what your role is again, just to reiterate, as well as where it is that you have seen yourself grow in this given role over the course of the past 2 years.
Definitely. So I'm still a consultant. I've been a consultant for the past 2 years since I've been here. We're promoted in terms of when we get to certain milestones. So it's not necessarily you're at Beacon Hill for X amount of time and you're promoted to senior consultant. It's you're definitely motivated to get to the next level and get to that certain point, because obviously everybody wants promotions and motivation and all of that. So in terms of growth and where I've seen myself come over the past 2 years, I started at another staffing agency when I first graduated Holy Cross. It was a smaller, more boutique firm. I was recruited from somebody on Hannah's team to come over to Beacon Hill on the finance and accounting side. So I really had to relearn the business somewhat, because I was coming from a temporary associates administrative type of recruiting to a permanent finance and accounting type of recruiting. So that was just night and day for me. Much different resumes, much different caliber of candidates. There was a lot to learn. So I think looking back and seeing where I started after, 3 months being in the job, I was kind of running around with my head cut off, not really knowing what I was doing, to Molly's point. But the benefit of that and being at Beacon Hill is you're sitting around some of the most intelligent, well-respected, personable people who are always willing to stop and chat with you and help you out with whatever you want. So that really helped me further develop. And I think when I first started, I was definitely focused more on the candidate side, because that's what I was used to. I was, I understood recruiting. I knew what I was doing. And then finding a candidate to place in a job was great. And, I had my colleagues who have an established book of business. So they have their clients that they've had for several years. And I was able to recruit off of those jobs. After probably like a couple of months and more into a year or so, I was really working on getting my own job. So starting that business development side of the desk, which I really love. Definitely, as Molly mentioned, a bit more challenging in terms of the sales side. And I know that's what she's doing full time. So I give her a lot of respect. But it is, it's challenging. You get some no's, people hang up the phone on you, but it's part of the business and it is what it is, and you shake it off. And I think that's the best part about being around our team and being around our colleagues is everybody's doing the same thing, and everybody's, grinding and pushing themselves to be the best and to get better. So I think just seeing where I've come and understanding, our business and who we place, I feel like I've really gotten that down, and I'm able to take a job order and talk to somebody about it and pitch that job and talk to my colleagues about what I need help on. And I have my own clients now that I can, pitch the team and, help recruit for other jobs and recruit for my own job. So I think that balance is exciting, and it kind of keeps the job entertaining, right? There's no day that's ever the same. There's constantly something going on. So it's been really interesting and exciting to grow with my team, and for my team to watch me grow as well, and get a feel for what we do and how we, perform and who we recruit for.
Yeah, for me, growth was kind of like a different path. Like I knew I was going to be starting in one role, training for another, and then kind of starting over again. And similar to like what Kate was saying, all of the milestones and that comes with promotions and compensation and all of that. And that's, pretty black and white. Like you get this, you get that. But I knew that I was kind of going to be starting in a role, training, and then starting in a new role. So I think it would be a different look to the growth that I would have. But like Kate said, I think growth comes from like feeling comfortable taking a job order or expanding your book of business, whether that be like chatting with candidates or getting new clients, getting into their system, anything like that really has kind of been growth for me, at least. I've only been here for just over a year now. So job title promotion hasn't really been like on my radar for growth, but definitely just expanding the book of business. I kind of started in this business development role middle of March. So right as COVID started, it wasn't like the most ideal time to kind of get my name out there and ask people if they wanted to use me to fill their job orders. Nobody even had job orders at the time, but it's just been an interesting process to kind of grow with like getting people on the phone and trying to help them out where they can. But like Kate said as well, every team is like so helpful and there's so many experienced people like sitting on the floor, even, doing Zoom with older coworkers who have been there for longer than I have is so helpful. And it really helps us to all grow.
And I think it's helpful, to talk about culture. That's a big thing too. We love our culture here at Beacon Hill. I'm going to pass that over to you guys.
My favorite part of the job, I really do miss this, obviously, and I'm lucky enough that I get to talk to my coworkers. Awesome. But just being in the office and being around everybody. We have amazing quarter events. We have an awesome holiday party, and just being around the entire Beacon Hill family is so entertaining. We're a very close knit, not only team, but company. I think everybody is very friendly. Everybody, works together and intertwines in each other's work, and, things are passed off and job orders and this and that. So it's a very collaborative environment.
Yeah, the culture at Beacon Hill is definitely kind of similar to what Kate said and kind of similar to Holy Cross in general. It's definitely very work hard, play hard. Like everybody knows how to get stuff done, but everybody knows how to have a good time together. And I think that the mindset, whether that be like just my team or like I've run into Kate at team outings and Hannah as well, like I feel like everybody's just unified under the mindset of like, we're going to have fun, but you get what you put into the job. Like you kind of make your own opportunity at Beacon Hill, which is something that I love. Like you're not limited by anything. Like you work hard and you get a lot out of it. And it's kind of just nice. Like if you stay late and you get in early and you grind, like it definitely, you see payoff as the years come. And I know that my coworkers have seen that, and I'm kind of excited for, the future of that. But overall, the culture, just like having these relationships with people who have been at the company for so long, it's a really positive mindset. And it's really nice to have those supportive team members and supportive other teams outside of your team, which is awesome.
What would you say for each of you is your favorite Beacon Hill tradition?
Really tricky, Hannah, because all of them are honestly so much fun. There's never been an event that I didn't have a blast at. The quarterly events are awesome. I would have to say that the Christmas party does trump all, just because the production that Beacon Hill puts on is absolutely over the top. They fly everybody in from every office. Whoever's in a different office gets put up in a hotel room. It's just to the nines. It's amazing. Everybody dresses up, and it's a really fun celebration for all the hard work that we've put in over the year.
Kate said, I think all the events are really fun, and there's different levels to the events. Like some of them are just with your team, which is so much fun. Like I know our team will leave the office like once a quarter at like 12 and just go somewhere, whether that's like a karaoke bar or bowling or even just like a restaurant, which is always a blast. But it's nice to see the rest of the Boston office. And then of course the Christmas party, you see every person who works at Beacon Hill. And like Kate was saying, like it's awesome to just see how much Beacon Hill values their employees.
What would you say if you were to describe your Beacon Hill staffing experience in one word? What would you say?
I would say evolving. I think, as I mentioned, over the past couple of years, I've seen myself grow so much. And as I also mentioned, the day-to-day of our role is constantly changing.
Similar to Kate, I would say like my time far could just be summed up under like motivational. I think that there's so many aspects for growth. I think that everybody is kind of like an open book at Beacon Hill. Like everybody's numbers are posted for the week, and we have calls where we kind of talk about like what we've got done Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And it's kind of great to just like see, I'm very competitive. I have a competitive mindset. It's great to like see when other people are doing great because it makes me want to work harder. That's motivational for me, but it's also motivational to see people doing so well and being so happy. And like Kate said, people kind of come in and stay forever. And it's awesome to see where your projected growth is, if that's 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 6 years from now, and so on.
What would be the biggest piece of advice for someone who is interested in applying to Beacon Hill? So from either of your perspectives from the interview process, things that maybe you have learned, and I can chime in from an internal perspective too.
Great. I would say biggest piece of advice is really keeping an open mind and just taking it all in. I think there is a lot to learn from any job interview and from an industry that probably a lot of you are unfamiliar with. But I think applying and having a conversation, talking to Hannah, like figuring out really what you want to do is really important, because it's a great industry and a great job, but it's definitely meant for, somebody who's excited about what Hannah talks to you guys about, right? So, if certain things in the job don't seem like they would be a good fit, or if it's not something that you're totally excited about, take that into consideration and explore your options, because I do think, Molly and I and Hannah, obviously, we're also passionate about Beacon Hill and what it offers, but we also do love what we do, which I think is really important, especially for, a lot of fresh grads. And I think both Molly and I were lucky enough to kind of stumble into the career in a sense.
I think the most important thing to do is just ask questions, be open-minded, and just not be one of those people in an interview who acts like they know all the answers in the first place, I guess. You should want to ask as many questions and get as much information out of the people who are kind of taking time out of their day to speak with you. I know I had a million questions. All of my interviews were way longer than expected. But I kind of wanted to hear I didn't know what tech versus perm or temp versus finance was. So I had a million questions, and I kind of just wanted to know as much as I could. I guess the best piece of advice I would give would just be to be a sponge and soak in as much information as you can get from the people who are chatting with you, for sure.
So Mia is asking if she is a Spanish major and was wondering if you found yourself using any of your Spanish that you learned on campus in your current role.
Unfortunately not. I don't use Spanish frequently. I did major in Spanish. I studied abroad in Spain, and then just if the classes that I took over there correlated well with adding it to a major. However, we do see occasionally, roles where Spanish speaking is preferred. So I guess, sometimes I am talking to somebody who does speak Spanish. So I guess you could utilize, your skill set in that way.
In terms of other questions, maybe some important qualities that would be important to excel at Beacon Hill.
Definitely somebody who's outgoing and engaging. There's obviously a lot of communication and a lot of talking throughout the day-to-day of the role. So not somebody who's afraid to pick up the phone and give somebody a call. Somebody who's communicative and good at kind of correlating and addressing different problems or issues that come up. That happens often. I'm sure probably more, in Molly in terms of the contract and the consistency of placements. But if somebody doesn't show up for an interview, being able to communicate that, or, the dialogue there, going back and forth in terms of, the job search process and how we help and assist in every step of the way.
You definitely have to be driven. Like Kate was saying, you have to kind of make your own work, and that's ultimately how you will succeed at Beacon Hill. You're not going to get it by doing the bare minimum. So anybody who's driven, motivated, anything like that, I think that those are important qualities to have to kind of be successful at Beacon Hill in the long term.
So I want to thank all of our attendees first and foremost for attending today. And of course, to thank our panelists, both Kate, both Molly, you guys were awesome. If you are interested from here in actually applying for our positions, please reach out directly to me, Hannah Williamson. You can connect with me directly on LinkedIn as well as on Handshake. Our job posting is actually live on Handshake under Holy Cross. So you can search Beacon Hill and you can apply directly, send your resume in to Handshake to express interest in the job. We are actually hiring across all of our 7 different divisions in multiple locations across the country. So even if you are here and you're from Massachusetts, but have always had an interest in, let's say, moving to San Francisco, we can still talk. We can definitely still discuss more about our opportunities at Beacon Hill across the country. And we will be hiring for both the entry-level recruiting positions as well as entry-level sales, depending on what you think would be most of interest. We would definitely be able to discuss that further in depth, kind of dive into more of those nitty-gritty details as for what would be best for you. So thank you everyone for attending. It's been great to get to know obviously more about these guys, get to know more about Beacon Hill, and I hope everyone has a great evening.